Alright, so in this video, what I want to do is bake some cookies in a cardboard box charcoal oven. You might have seen these online, but you probably haven't seen anybody do it exactly like this with free charcoal that I find in just the neighboring camps. All this stuff is left over, usable charcoal. It's not exactly the same as the store. In fact, it's almost nothing like what you find in the store, because the stuff in the store typically has bunches of chemicals in them, usually lots of lighter fluid and caking agents and all kinds of other stuff. There are charcoals that you can buy that don't have all that stuff in there. It's called lump charcoal, but it's a lot more expensive. But you can just get it at the neighboring campsites whenever somebody leaves. Sometimes these are here. I find them, they look like they're thousands of years old. Sometimes literally. It's like you go into some ruins areas and you find evidence of old charcoal. I haven't used any of those. I mean, that's archaeological stuff. But what I'm trying to say is you find them everywhere. So there's plenty of free charcoal. It just you'll have to do a little bit of prep. So we'll do that right now. So what I do with my free charcoal is just this. I collect it in a bag like this, just a really big Ziploc, and I put it out on dry sunny days. Like it helps to live in the desert where it's actually dry. If it's humid, then you'll have the reverse effect. But just put it out in the sun, leave it open, and a lot of the moisture that has collected over, however many years it's been, thousands of years of moisture in the campsite, the less of a problem in the desert, obviously. You'll be able to evaporate a little bit of that off. And there's still going to be a lot in there because it does attract a lot of water. And we're just going to burn that off, just like you would burn off the moisture in wet wood, right? So we're going to go through that process. So it's going to just add one extra step than you might otherwise use when you're doing barbecuing or something, when you're used to just like lighting it up, or maybe you do some kind of fire starting system, charcoal lighting system. So we're going to do that. It's basically combined in one, but it's going to take us a little bit longer. And then the extra stage is going to be just preheating the oven, which is, that's kind of a standard stage when you're doing any kind of baking. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the hobo stove, and let me aim the camera down there. And I just got a little pot right there, and we're just going to set up some coals inside the hobo stove and do our charcoal preparation that way. So let me just grab some charcoal. Oh, I'm going to grab first my fire starter. In this case, it's I literally just improvised it before the video. It's a roll of cardboard. It's just a cardboard strip, and I rolled it up, dipped it in Vaseline, and we're just going to use that. So I'm also going to have to reveal some of the dry parts of it, rip it up just a little bit. But we basically have a charcoal, not charcoal, we have a cardboard candle. Expose it a little bit for something to catch. And this will give us something that will run a little while and just long enough to get our charcoal through the process it needs. And of course you can use any of those other lighters, fire starters like Vaseline soaked cotton balls and paraffin cotton balls, etc. Most people just use paper, but now you've learned about all these other methods. And we might just use some paper too. In fact, that might be a little bit easier. This is just a napkin that I use to wipe my fingers, because these Vaseline things are really messy. So just use that. I'll put that on the bottom, and that'll give us a way to get the fire to this. I'm going to prop it up a little bit to give it a little bit more air as well. These little holes don't give quite as much air as you'd like on a fire starting or on a charcoal lighting situation, or at least not today. Other days they might. So let's do that, a little free thing, and then I'll put my light that in there. Let's see, should I light it up first? Yeah, I'll give it a little start first. There's no lighter. Let's light it up. The wind. two. Stick them in there. Okay, now I'm going to start loading some charcoal in there, trying not to put my fire out. If I do, I've got plenty of other ways that I can relight it. And I'm basically going to fill it up. I find that filling it up gets me pretty close to the 350. Sometimes it's over, sometimes it's less. I mean 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Oops. It's going out. Don't go out. More air down there. Set this box in the way I'm in. Much better. Alright, you're going to see a lot of white smoke now. White smoke being water vapor. Pick this one up. Now let's get another bunch more smaller ones. It looks like it's going out, but it's definitely still lit and working. If it ever goes out, I'm just going to use lighter fluid. Use all the resources you have. Nothing critical about it. Definitely still fire in there. A couple smaller pieces maybe. And you might wonder if I can use the coals from my cooking, and you totally can. The little pellets. Just going to add some lighter fluid. You can use the pellets. They're very small though, and the thing with those, I find that they go out too fast. Or I mean, they just kind of burn through. But maybe it's just because I'm not quite filling it all the way up. But it does kind of seem that they don't last quite as long. So I'm just going to continue this process until I feel confident that the coals, well, you know, it's the barbecue process. You just wait till your coals are red hot. So it might take a little while to burn off all the extra moisture. So it gives you time to just fiddle with the fire and get black hands like this. Smells good though. But you want it definitely want it to stop smoking. All of you should stop smoking, by the way. It's not good for your health. It's definitely still lit. Okay, I'm going to let a little bit more air back here. There was a wind that was giving it a good amount of air, which it definitely wants right now. I'm not sure that my my candle there is still going. It's probably still going. Oh yeah, it definitely still is. I can see it from this side. And some of the coals are definitely glowing down there. I'm going to give it a little shift. Now I haven't tried this method enough to know whether I should just go ahead and leave the can in there. In fact, it's probably a good idea to leave the can in there. It'll give it a more efficient burning while it's in the stove. Mostly what I've been doing is just letting them loose once they're all burning, or once they're all, once they're all red hot. Not quite there yet, getting there. But we'll just continue this process until most of the coals are red hot, and it seems like we can proceed with the preheating. All right. So we've got to the point where, when I look down there, it's pretty uniform in the glowing coals. There's like a little small fire down there, and the smoke has died down quite a bit. I mean, most of the water vapor has died off, so we're not going to have a problem with it cooling the fire. I can see it glow through around most of these holes here. So I think we're about ready to go, as ready as it's going to get. So I'm just going to, now I'm debating whether I can just leave that on there, and I think I'll do that in a future experiment. For now, I'm just going to let them loose. And yeah, definitely got a lot of good little coal fire going there. So, returning to this, here's our stove. You might recognize this, except it's black now. We used this in the first video, just a box lined with foil. And all I'm going to do is just stick that over top of there, and all we got to do is close the top. Before we do that, there's a couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to stick some skewers in there that are going to enable us to put a cooking rack in there. And I'm not at all worried that it's going to cool down the oven a lot. So, let's see, in my thermometer. I'm just going to hang my thermometer up in there. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to get really hot really fast, because that feels very hot. So I'm just going to close that up, cover it with a rock. Oh, that actually melted the last time. I forgot to fix it. So I'm just going to not worry about it right now. Cover it with this, and I think it should be pretty soon before that's preheated. So I'm just going to come back, check it, and once it's about 350, then I'm going to stick my cookies in there. All right, I think we're just about there. So we're going to be making some vegan chocolate chip cookies. One of the great things about vegan cookies is you could totally just eat the cookie dough without worrying anything about any kind of E. coli or any kind of stuff like that. This is, see how it's totally flat? This is, I cut this out of a regular cookie tray so that I could fit it in a small box, and it would fold flat and everything, not worry about just extra little awkward shapes. Take that off. Oh, that's really hot. Oh, definitely. It's needed to be at 375, and it is now at 400, so definitely usable. And actually, I forgot to measure and make sure that this is actually going to be the right size, but it looks like it's exactly the right size. Right, totally good. So I don't know if you want to see that. Just grab it so you can see it. See how that works down in there? It just sits right on top, and my my thermometer is right under that. Don't need it anymore. Let's do that. Set you back on the rack. And just reverse the process. Put it back. The tape on the top has melted. It's not a big deal. Let's do that. And it wants me to wait 8 to 10 minutes. So we'll do that. Alright, time to look inside. Let's see what we got. Oh wow, they've totally melted together. You see that? So I probably used a little bit too much grease the first time I used this recipe. They're very fluffy, and Oh, I probably used a little bit too much egg. Too much vegan egg. But I need to let them cool down. I think I'll let them bake just a little bit longer too. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll let them bake just a little bit longer. I wonder what the temperature is. I'm going to lift this up just so I'm going to let a bunch of heat out. I'm just going to look at the thermometer down. It's hanging down there, 300. So, but I can't tell when it did that. When did it cool down? Did it cool down just now, which is definitely possible for it to cool down that fast. But was it already cooled down? I'm going to let it cook just a little bit longer. One thing that you're not going to get with this type of stove is a browning effect. Though you could, if you put something else on top that was heated, that like another baking sheet on top of that would also get heated and bake down onto your cookies to give it a nice top browning. But now we got proof that it works, and you'll just need it's gonna take practice to figure out your optimal recipes and stuff, and you're gonna have some variation. It's not like you could just turn the knob up to whatever temperature you want to you need to bake at according to your recipe. You're going to have a bunch of charcoal, which is going to create some randomness in this. So it's going to take a little bit of experimentation, knowing when take it out a little earlier, and then once you take it out, look at it, see how much longer it's going to take to bake properly for whatever it is, the food that you need. Getting it to the right temperature and all that kind of stuff. It's going to take some experience. It's not as easy as just turning a dial and setting your timer. So yeah, it's a great simple thing. It probably took a little bit more setup than we need for just 10 minutes of baking, but it's sure as heck fun. And knowing that you can easily bake something out here without a complicated oven. All we had was just 2 boxes that can be broken down, stowed away any place, doesn't take up any space. And whenever you feel the urge, just pull it out, set it up, prepare your coals, and yeah, you'll be baking. Of course, here's the true test. Once they've cooled down on your little cooling rack. Those are really good. Totally works.